synchronized drinking.
I just got stuck on my tongue.
Stung?
Give it back! Thank goodness I'm not allergic, but it does burn a little bit.
Extra flavor.
Ow! Good air out to get me today. So, we'd like to introduce to you specialty drinks with a little song.
Dough, the stuff that buys my beer. Ray,
Who served us apple corn?
thanks Ray. Me, the one who drinks my mead. Far a long way to the privy. So
I think I'll have some
wine. Lager beer. Tea, no thanks, I'll have some gin. And now I'm out of dough. The stuff that buys my beer. Ray, the one with apple corn. Thanks, Ray. Me, the one who drinks my mead. Far a long way to the privy. So I think I'll have some wine. Lager beer. Tea, no thanks, I'll have some gin. And now I'm out of dough.
So I have two specialty drinks I want to talk to you about today. The first of those is amaretto. Anyone here ever had amaretto? So amaretto, if you have ever had a bottle of amaretto di Serrano,
It was created just a few years ago.
you will notice that on the bottle it says since 1525. So what happened is there was a young man, a student of Leonardo da Vinci, and he went to Serrano. He had been hired to paint the chapel there. So he was there for months, painting frescoes all over the chapel. And he was staying in an inn, and he was almost done, except that he could not find inspiration for the Virgin Mary. And then one night he went back to the inn and he was feeling a little sad and unsure. And the innkeeper came up to him. She was a young widow. And she asked him what the problem was, and he looked at her, and in that moment, he saw the inspiration in her face.
And said no problem at all.
And she became the inspiration for his painting of the Virgin Mary on the walls of the chapel. If you go to that chapel today, you can still see that same painting. And because he had basically made her immortal, she wanted to thank him. So she went back to the inn and she took some brandy that she had and she added apricot seeds. And she warmed it up. And that is what became known as amaretto. So when next time you look at that bottle, look at the date on it. And you can be like, I was there in 1536 when it was still new. Now, our second specialty drink that we like to talk about actually happened in two different countries at approximately the same time.
Now this was a very, very happy accident.
So if you know anything about distillation, right? So fermentation is what we have to do with wine and beer and cider and mead, right? So that is what he talked about earlier, the eating of the sugars by the yeast. That is fermentation. In order to get from those things to what we consider hard liquor, you must go through distillation. Distillation is a warming, producing vapors,
And then quickly cooling.
which concentrates the liquid back down. So keep that in mind as I tell you the story. So in both Poland and in Lithuania at the same time, they had some very, very unusual weather. They had extremely cold winters and very warm summers. And what happened is many nobles had put barrels of mead into storage. And through the natural process that happened of distillation, because it would get so hot in the summer and you would have all of the alcohol, and then when it got very cold in the winter, you would have it cool off. So you would have the alcohol in the barrel in the summer, when it heated, start to evaporate. But where does it go? It goes into the wood. And then in the winter, when it got cold, it got released back into the barrel. So you went from having mead,
which is about
17 to 24% alcohol, to having krupnik, which is about 40 to 60%.
So yeah, so in Poland it is called krupnik, and in
Lithuania it's called veritas. But they are basically the same thing. They are a honey liquor. And if you look at it, again, this is about 1526. We're not really sure what was going on in the middle of the 1520s in Europe, but it was good for us. Right? And so, for the longest time, nobody could figure out how this had happened. It's only through understanding what was going on with the cooling and the heating of the barrels and the weather patterns that it happened then. So then when the weather stopped doing it naturally, they had to start fermenting it themselves, which they do. Many people think we cannot ferment. We absolutely can. The very first pot still was invented Distill, sorry, we can distill. The very first pot still was invented in the 2nd century. Shockingly enough, it was invented by...
Is it really shocking?
No, we've had to put up with men for a really long time. The fact that we were like, nope, ale isn't good enough, wine isn't good enough, we need something stronger, not a shock. And I only have to work with them, I don't have to go home with them. So, goodly gentles, we thank you very much to our castaways here, whether you be keg, reg, or drag. We appreciate you coming out here to see us, and we want to let you know that if you'd like to take us home with you, you can.
We do have coasters.
We have coasters. What were you thinking? We'll talk later. You too. We do have coasters you can take home with you. If you have any questions, we will be just thither. But we thank you very much for joining us today. And we do wish everyone here to take a moment, and we would like to acknowledge that we have some very special guests in our audience today. We have the Lady Heather and the Lord Chris, who were married this morning at our chapel. We would like to give them a round of applause.
They are two wondrous friends of ours.
And we wish to end with our traditional toast, and we keep them very much in our hearts and minds today.
There are fast ships,
and there are slow ships,
and there are ships upon the sea.
But the best ships
are friendships, and may they always be. Good gentles, I have been Arnold Connor.
I am Mistress Cecily Clack.
Together we be a class act. Oh, no, why
I like that. She clapped. Usually they just laugh. And this has been
Casks and Flasks. And do come back.
Woo!